All righty. So my talk title today is Let There Be Peace on Earth and Let It Begin with Me. And I wanted to begin with a quote from Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity. And it is the law of spirit that we must be that which we would draw to us. If we would draw to us love, we must be love, be loving and kind. If we would draw peace and harmony in our environment, we must establish it within ourselves. Now, any guesses to where my inspiration for my talk title came? It came from that song that we sing actually in every single Unity church that I have ever attended, sings it every Sunday, which is Let There Be Peace on Earth and Let It Begin with Me. And when I sing it, sometimes when I close my eyes, I can see my little 8-year-old Amy with her patent leather buckle shoes, skipping outside church, singing Let There Be Peace on Earth at the top of my lungs. So whether you're Unity or Catholic, it's shared everywhere. So I wanted to give a little history on the song, if you're not familiar. The song was written by Jill Jackson Miller and her husband Sid Miller back in 1955. And in the summer of 1955, they were listening to a radio program that featured the idea that for peace to become a reality, that it had to first happen within the heart and practice of every individual. So Jill's teen daughter remembers her mom waking up one morning with the phrase, "Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me." And so her husband, Sid, put it to music um, back in 1955. And later in that summer, the song was first sung by a group of 180 teenagers from different races and religions that had gathered up in the mountains of California for a workshop about peace. The teens believed that the simple sentiment of the song would help create a climate for world peace and understanding. And then the teens themselves brought it back to their communities, and the rest is history. So let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. And why do I think this is worth us spending some time in contemplation on and discussing? Have you ever noticed that that song does not say, "Let there be peace on earth" when my sports team wins, when the person that I voted for gets elected, when the weather pattern changes, when spring comes, you name it. The song says, "Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me." And so the song that we sing was part of my inspiration, but also I had come across a meme on Facebook that had me thinking. And this meme that I saw is attributed to Thich Nhat Hanh, and it's called "What is in Your Cup?" And it says, "You're holding a cup of coffee when someone comes along and bumps you or shakes your arm, making you spill coffee everywhere. Why did you spill coffee?" "Well, somebody bumped into me, of course." Wrong answer. You spilled coffee because there was coffee in your cup. Had you had tea or cocoa or espresso or a macchiato, that's what would have been coming, that's what would have poured out of your cup. Therefore, when life comes along and shakes you, which will happen, whatever is inside you will come out. It's easy to fake it until you're rattled. So we have to ask ourselves, what's in our cup? when life gets tough, what spills over? Is it joy and gratefulness and peace and humility, or anger, bitterness, harsh words, and reactions? You choose. And I had to think about that at the time because I wasn't liking what was in my cup, what was being spilled out. And I knew that I needed to shift and change. I might have to dump my cup out and start over again. So the reason that that's important is because we both affect and are affected by the collective consciousness. Much like, and you'll have to call on your spiritual power of imagination because I have no food coloring in my house, but I have this bottle of water here. Now, if I took this bottle of water and I added some blue food coloring, what would happen? The water would turn blue. It would be affected by what I put in it. Same thing if I took this bottle of water that I put blue food coloring in and dumped it into a vase and put some flowers in it, the tips of the flowers would turn blue based on the environment that they're being grown in. So it's important for us to pay attention what we're filling our cup with and also what's being poured out of us. Uh, And so speaking of which, I'm going to take a sip of and I'm sure most of you are familiar with, or if you haven't heard of, Dr. Masaru Emoto. He's known as the water crystal guy. He wrote a best-selling New York Times bestseller book called The Hidden Message of Water. And I'm going to hold this up to my camera as best as I can so you guys can take a look at it. In his book, Dr. Amato demonstrates that water exposed to loving, benevolent, and compassionate human intention results in these aesthetically pleasing, physical molecular formations in the water, while the water that exposed to fearful or discordant human intentions results in disconnected, disfigured, unpleasant physical molecular formations. And guess what, folks? What are we mostly made up out of? We're made up out of water. So the words we say and the things that we do and our actions and what we speak have an impact on both ourselves and the world around us. Australian psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl stated it this way. He said that between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom, much like the daily word reading today, which was absolutely perfect. So let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me is an invitation to go within so that I can be response able and be conscious of the contribution that I'm making to the world around me. So let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. So as you know, I always like to have a house action, right? And whenever I speak, because I know that, what's the fifth unity principle? It's not enough to study these truths. It's not enough to read about them. We must be the change we want to see in the world. We need to put movement to that. So how do we do this? So I want to go back to that analogy of the cup of what's in our cup. It's about being aware, responsible for what's in your cup. Awareness is key, as is honesty and self-love. I was thinking this morning when I was preparing, or when I talked to Arlene last night, and when the decision was made to go online. I haven't done a talk on Zoom for a while now. And I always wanted to improve and all of that. But my cup could have been filled with some anxiety, maybe some disappointment because I love spending time with you all. So not being able to see you all physically and in person. And I had to acknowledge that so that I could make another choice. The choice is like, this technology is awesome. Like years and years ago, if church was canceled for the day because of weather, church was canceled because of the weather. But look at us all here. We still have an opportunity to gather, to support one another in love and technology. How cool is that? And so I let my cup be filled with gratitude for the things that I do have. So one of my go-tos, and I know I've mentioned this in a talk before, but it is one of my go-tos because it's simple and it's easy. One of the things we can do is we can halt, HALT, halt. And that stands for hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. And the whole idea behind that is if you're feeling any of those things, that before you react or respond, pick up the phone, text, um, we take a moment to pause. We say halt until we can take care of our inner world so that we're not spilling something that isn't of our Christ nature out into the world, into our conversations. Be mindful of what you're filling your cup with. Self-care. Are you taking care of yourself physically, mentally, spiritually? And unity, and I know that you guys are firm believers in this, we have these amazing tools of prayer and meditation. We can pray. We can pray with another. We can kind of reset our rheostat on what our inner temperature is as well. We can do, if you're ever in a situation and you feel some negativity around you, I love Taylor Swift and everything she stands for. But if you feel negativity, you can get up and move and shake it off, shake it off. Shake off the negativity. Find different ways of being physically moving. Get out in nature if you can. Take a walk around the block if you're able to, or just open the window and let some fresh air in if you're not able to get outside. Establish healthy boundaries. And I'm going to take another sip of water. To the best of your current and evolving capacity. I'm just going to cough first. I apologize. I say this because I think there's a way that we can preserve what we want in our cup and still be empathetic towards others. And that just keeps anything out of our cup that we don't want in there. Like we can be sympathetic for others, we can be empathetic, but we don't have to take on what's in their cup into our cup. Do you get what I mean? So establish healthy boundaries. Say no when you need to say no. Um, I'm also thinking of things like murmuring and triangulation, and codependent behaviors like trying to fix other people. The best thing we can do for those we love is to affirm their highest and divine expression, support them however we can, um, but know that they have the Christ spirit within them and that they're already whole and perfect. Keep some forgiveness tools in your toolbox and use them. I like the Ho'oponopono prayer because it's quick and it's easy and I can call upon it when I'm not liking the appearances of things that are happening around me. During a meditation, I'll be leading you through a process from the eye of the storm. Um, and I brought this. I don't know if you have this in the bookstore, Jen, but it is the 21-day reconciliation process. It's by Gary Simmons, and it goes along with the Eye of the Storm. And it's what I love about it is that it puts it in your mindset to be paying attention to um, how you're expressing in the world, giving yourself the opportunity to review it every day when you come home and journal on it. Um, Puts it forefront in your mind. And by then, 21 days, you find that there's not a lot. At the beginning of 21 days, there might be some things you need to clean up, conversations with people, whatever. By the end of 21 days, you find that you're catching yourself before you say things that might be hurtful or unkind, or doing things that you regret, or the judgments that you might hold towards another. So I highly recommend that. You know, here's another way that we can be peace. We can do acts of service. You can paint peace rocks and leave them around different places randomly for people to find. Um, Pay for the person's toll behind you, little things like that. Uh, when we perform acts of kindness, we are blessed as well as the person that is receiving them. And I would say tend to your garden. And what I mean by that is take care of those around you, be aware of the world around you. Sometimes we think we have to take on this like something huge, and it could be something small that brightens someone's day, or just being a good steward of the world around you. I think of people like Linda and her Angels for Answers and the blessing she is for those with food insecurities. She's taken that on in her particular area and is blessing those around her. My friend Carl, who passed away last year, his little corner of the world, his garden that he tended to, was he believed in supporting women. He felt that if you support women, you support a village. And so he would support women that he knew were taking care of villages, so to speak. Um, and that was his thing. And he said that when he first started doing it, the very first person he helped, he felt like his heart expanded and grew. And that's where he found his purpose and his mission. So I don't know what words of actions or things that would work best for you, but you know that. So think outside of the box a little, on different ways that you can show up as peace. Sometimes it could be the simple thing of letting the person behind you in the grocery store go ahead of you if they've only got a few items and you've got a entire carriage full. Or letting somebody in on traffic. If you have the opportunity. And I just invite you to be creative and find ways where you can bring peace to a situation and a circumstances. Before we go into meditation today, I wanted to leave you a quote from 2 Corinthians 13:11. And that quote is, "Finally, brothers and sisters, rejoice. Strive for full restoration, encourage one another, be of one mind, live in peace, and the God of love and peace will be with you." Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. So I'm just going to invite you to get comfortable.